And we're making a start with some news that's breaking this minute. Acrimonious scenes in the Supreme Court as it hears the Ayodhya land dispute case. Senior Advocate Rajiv Dhawan tore up the documents and maps submitted by the Hindu Mahasbaha. The Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, responded by threatening to walk out of the court, accusing the lawyers of wasting their time. Our Deputy News Editor Meenakshi Bhanja on the phone line. Meenakshi, what is probably the last day of the court hearing by the Ayodhya bench? We're looking at acrimonious scenes there coming in. Can you tell us what has happened inside the court?
Well, that's right, Apurva. Today is the fag end of the hearing with several of the interveners also wanting to make their points, which now has been clarified by the Honorable bench headed by the Chief Justice of India as to how the Supreme Court simply doesn't have time for the interveners. And in the course of the hearing today, we have seen some twists also happen. One was, like you rightly mentioned, this acrimonious exchange where we saw Senior Advocate Rajiv Dhawan, who has been pressing forward for the Sunni Waqf Board's case in the Supreme Court. He tore up the documents. These were documents pertaining to the pleadings, some maps, and other structural documents which were submitted by the Hindu Mahasbaha. He tore up those documents because he vehemently disagreed with the submissions that were being made by the Hindu Mahasbaha before the bench, which has infuriated the Honorable Chief Justice of India, which led him to make the observation, and I quote, "We could just get up and walk out," unquote. And like you again referred to rightly, Apurva, the Chief Justice of India has also expressed his deep displeasure in the manner the lawyers are wasting the time of the bench, because he said that the judges could simply read the written submissions instead of having to hear arguments inside the courtroom. So all this courtroom drama playing out today, as clear indications have come by from the bench that it is in all minds to reserve the verdict on the 40th day of marathon hearings pertaining to the title dispute issue.
Absolutely. And also, Meenakshi, very quickly would like to understand from you, since morning we've been looking at developments there coming in amid the fact that the Ayodhya Mediation Committee has also filed a settlement document in the Supreme Court. Can you take us through that as well?
Well, absolutely, Apurva. That is the latest twist that we have just spoken about. Remember, the contents of this document is unknown, because this is the same mediation panel which is headed by Honorable Justice Khalifullah, which has Sriram Panchu and Shri Ravi Shankar as the other members. And as the Supreme Court was hearing the matter on a day-to-day basis for the past 40 days now, parallelly, the mediation process was also underway for all those parties who wish to explore mediation. Remember, on an earlier occasion, it was the principal parties to the dispute themselves who had informed the mediation panel as to how mediation attempt is unsuccessful, and the mediation panel had then gone ahead and informed the Supreme Court of the same. So this particular document, the contents of this document, we reiterate for our viewers, is unknown thus far, but this is highly interesting and definitely a latest twist in the developments, because this is a document which has been submitted by way of this mediation committee to the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court is highly likely to incorporate the contents of this document in its final verdict. Apurva.
All right, Meenakshi, stay with us. Big developments also coming in, but also, Meenakshi, coming back to the fact that there have been a lot of drama that had unfolded in the court during the hearing. What is the current situation right now? Has the matter been taken into consideration? The fact that there have been acrimonious scenes, documents have been torn up inside the court. There were very dramatic scenes that had unfolded. So what is happening right now, Meenakshi?
Well, that's right. As we speak, order for now seems to have been restored, Apurva, given the fact that the Chief Justice of India cracked the whip and expressed his deep sense of displeasure at the manner in which the lawyers were conducting the proceedings and also conducting themselves. And this observation obviously coming in from the Chief Justice of India seems to have for now assuaged the bad behavior, or rather the acrimonious conduct which was put on display briefly. But clearly this was something quite dramatic, because remember, we have seen Rajiv Dhawan argue for the Sunni Waqf Board for a very substantial period of time where the Supreme Court has also given him a very patient hearing because he's been the lead counsel for the Waqf board, and he went ahead and tore up these documents which were submitted by the Hindu Mahasbaha simply because he was vehemently disagreeing with the kind of propositions or arguments that they were submitting in the top court before the bench. But now, for now, order seems to have been restored, Apurva.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, Meenakshi. Many thanks for joining us and bringing us all those updates from the top court.